Hey, Commanders fans! Great to have you back on the channel for another hot update on our team. And today's topic is one of those head scratchers that makes you think, is this really happening? We're in the final stretch of preparations for the 2025 season. Expectations are high, and trade rumors continue to swirl, especially regarding our defensive line, which we know needs a significant pass rush boost. But the news that just broke has left me, and I bet it'll leave you too, speechless. Stick with me to the end, because what I'm about to tell you could change your perspective on the Commanders' next steps. Hit that like button below for support, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything from this exciting offseason. We know the Washington Commanders are still scouring the market, looking for ways to supercharge our pass rush. It's a clear need, and Adam Peters has shown he's not afraid to make bold moves. Speculation linking us to Cincinnati Bengals defensive end Trey Hendrickson isn't new. It started right after the 2024 season ended. Hendrickson is reportedly unhappy with his contract in Cincinnati, and from what it seems, is willing to sit out if the situation doesn't change. Trey Hendrickson's contract dissatisfaction is key here. The Bengals, who aren't known as the league's biggest spenders, don't seem eager to meet his demands. It's a delicate situation, a real tug-of-war that could go either way. Talks of a potential Hendrickson trade have quieted down in recent weeks, but if he remains firm in his stance, perhaps skipping Cincinnati's mandatory minicamp or training camp, it could reignite everything. ESPN analyst Seth Walder offered an idea of how the Commanders could overcome their resource limitations if they really wanted to take a chance on Hendrickson. And his proposal? Wow, it took me by surprise. Seth Walder's ESPN trade proposal certainly caused a stir, at least for me and many who closely follow the Commanders. He suggested we send a third-round pick in the 2026 draft and a seventh-round pick in the 2027 draft to the Cincinnati Bengals. So far, nothing out of the ordinary. These are future picks, not first or second-day selections. But the inclusion of a specific player in the proposal is what really shocked me and generated a lot of controversy. Defensive lineman Johnny Newton, entering his second year in the league. As a fan, I was thinking, Johnny Newton? Seriously? Walder justified the proposal by saying that despite the Washington Commanders being in win-now mode, our best edge rusher is currently Dorrance Armstrong. He argues that adding Trey Hendrickson, who had the second-best pass rush win rate on the edge last season, would be a huge boost to our defense. And then comes the part I completely disagree with. He says losing Johnny Newton would make our defense, which he considers old, even older, but that the Commanders have strong veteran options on the interior defensive line, like Payne, Javon Kinlaw, and Dietrich Wise Jr. The analyst's logic is that by including Johnny Newton in the trade package, the Washington Commanders could assemble a viable offer without having to give up a second-round draft pick, which we don't have available for the next few years anyway, after the trades we've made. But in my opinion as a fan, this analysis completely ignores Johnny Newton's potential and what he represents for the future of our defensive line and our team. It's as if he's a disposable piece, and we know that's not the case. Adam Peters has been very careful in preserving our high-level draft picks, unlike what we saw in previous regimes where important picks were traded more frequently. And Johnny Newton, despite playing only one season, showed enough potential last year to suggest a long and lucrative NFL career may be on the horizon. He showed flashes of being an impact player, someone we can build around on the defensive line for many years. On the other hand, Trey Hendrickson is almost 30, which in the NFL is considered an advanced age for a defensive lineman, even coming off spectacular seasons. His 35 sacks over the last two seasons are impressive, no doubt, and show he's still a terror for opposing quarterbacks. Bringing him in would be a risk that, from the standpoint of immediate production, might be worthwhile. But we can't forget that he won't play without a new contract, and that's something Adam Peters would have to consider in the negotiation. Adam Peters has done an excellent job maintaining the team's future financial flexibility, even with the drastic roster overhaul he's made. This is crucial for being able to extend contracts of important players in the future and having room to add pieces in free agency. Trading for a player like Hendrickson, who would demand a pricey, long-term contract, would significantly impact that flexibility, and we'd need to be absolutely sure he's the missing piece to become a contender. Considering all this trade proposal, including Johnny Newton, seems highly unlikely to happen. The supply of high-value draft picks has dried up for the Commanders, as the analyst himself mentioned. Giving up a promising young talent like Newton for a veteran who would demand a high contract and has outstanding contractual issues simply doesn't seem like the kind of move Adam Peters would make at this point in the team's development. We can't completely rule out the possibility of the Washington Commanders trading for an elite pass rusher if the right opportunity arises, but that would likely require the team to be willing to include one of its talented young players, and Johnny Newton is one of the most valuable we have. However, Adam Peters' philosophy so far has been to build through the draft and develop young talent, not trade them for veterans, no matter how good they are. Acquiring a player of Trey Hendrickson's caliber could be the boost our defense needs to overcome the obstacle and become an elite unit in the league. He would bring consistent pressure on the opposing quarterback that we don't have consistently today. But, as we saw in this crazy proposal, things in the NFL are never that simple. There's always a price to pay. And sometimes that price involves giving up important pieces of our future. Now, we have crucial information about our newest heavyweight addition, Pro Bowler Laremy Tunsil. Something he urgently needs to fix to be the player we expect to see on the field. Stay with me to the end because this story has important details, and I want to know your honest opinion about it. Leave that awesome like already, and if you're not subscribed, click the button below and activate notifications so you don't miss any analysis, news, or debates about our Washington Commanders. As you know, our management didn't mess around this offseason. We went out and made a bold move, bringing in Laremy Tunsil from the Houston Texans, a trade that, at the time, generated a mix of euphoria and expectation among the fans. After all, we're talking about a guy who's recognized throughout the league as one of the best offensive tackles in the game, a heavyweight name to protect our future quarterback. The idea was clear: shield whoever is under center, giving him as much time as possible in the pocket to make plays. And look, when we look at what Tunsil did on the field last season, especially as a pass blocker, the numbers are very encouraging. The guy allowed only 2.5 sacks in an entire season, playing left tackle, the most important position on the offensive line. That's an excellent number. The quick pressure rate he allowed was also close to the league average. In other words, when it comes down to it, when the ball is snapped, Tunsil generally delivers an elite performance in protection. But, and there's always a but that keeps us up at night, right? ESPN analyst Bill Barnwell, in a detailed analysis, pointed out a serious problem in Tunsil's game. And the most curious thing is that it's not something that happens during the play, in the direct battle against the opposing defender. His great Achilles heel, the bad habit that could cost our offense dearly, happens at crucial moments, before and after the snap. That's where things get complicated and we turn on the maximum alert signal. We're talking about penalties. And Tunsil's recent history in this regard is, to say the least, worrying. In his last season with the Texans, he was penalized an incredible 19 times. And worse, 12 of those penalties were for false starts. 12 false starts in a single season for a veteran of his caliber is a number that can't be ignored. There were games in which he alone committed 3 illegal formation penalties. And who doesn't remember that spectacular 77-yard touchdown by Nico Collins that was nullified by a Tunsil false start? These pre-snap mistakes kill drives and take points off the scoreboard. Barnwell even comments on the Texans situation, who needed to improve the line to protect C.J. Stroud, who took a lot of hits and got injured. And their solution was to trade their main left tackle? It seems counterintuitive, right? They chose to test draft picks and bet on Cam Robinson. Meanwhile, we, with the same need to protect our future QB, saw Tunsil as the answer, even knowing about this history of penalties. Adam Peters made a high bet, giving up 2 important day 2 picks to have him here. As a fan, I'm on this emotional seesaw. On one hand, knowing that we have a Pro Bowl talent on the offensive line is incredibly exciting. We dream of him dominating opponents and giving our quarterback all the time in the world. On the other hand, this number of penalties makes me uneasy. Will he be able to get rid of this vice? A false start at the wrong moment can cost a crucial first down or take us out of the field goal zone. This can sabotage all the work of the offense. The hope is that the new culture Quinn and Adam Peters are bringing to Washington will help Tunsil focus and correct these mistakes. He should be at mandatory minicamp next week, and this will be his first official contact with the team, with the new offensive line coaches. It's a chance to start working on this immediately. The preseason and the start of the regular season will be the final test to see if this high-risk, high-reward bet will pay off for our Washington Commanders. And now I want to hear from you, Commanders Nation. Considering Laremy Tunsil's undeniable talent, but also this worrying history of penalties, do you think he'll be able to correct this bad habit in time to be the elite protector we need? Or will these pre-snap fouls continue to be a problem that could compromise our offense next season? Leave your honest opinion in the comments. Let's debate. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so we can continue this conversation.